So hi guys, I'll be doing another deck profile for my Shadow Paladin Luard premium, of course, and this is will be the post premium collection since we are Shadows now has that premium collection stride, which is Dragprincipal Morfessa. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Now, starting with the starting Vanguard, obviously we run Drag Wizard Vikarau. Well, because we always want him in the field, ready to be retired for other Dragabis or Morfessa. Yeah, the counter charge is just really good and handful because at times we will need a lot of counter blasts and we're gonna be using a lot of them. And the other reason for that is that this can be rested by one of the grade ones that I'm running. So I always want that option for that grade 1 to be discarded to draw more cards and setting up the high ritual counts for the stride turn. And now for our grade 3s, we run 3 Dragfall Luard, of course. This is a Luard deck. And also I run the 2 Dragheart Luard for that option where I could retire another rearguard, search 2 instead of 1, so that we can get more resources ready to guarantee that Morfessa getting that 10 cards in drop zone, Ritual 10, which requires 10 grade 1 cards in drop zone. So the reason for Dragfall is obviously still the main ride, and I like it at 3 because it can free stride depending on the number of grade 1s in your drop zone. And for the stride skill, you counter blast 1, search a grade 1 or less with ritual, and you can retire another rearguard of your opponents in the same column. So yes, there's a +1 -1 right there. Paired along with Dragabis Luard, you can set up your board and retire 2. But for the most part is the yes, you can search out the important pieces even when you don't have a rearguard. Although at times I would ride Dragheart. Of course, I need to have a rearguard to use a stride skill. But at times I can get that option if I'm like first as well, because the free stride is still good since Dragheart recycles 2 and calls out 2, so more cards to be on play. That's why 3-2 ratio it is. And for my last grade 3, I run 1 Subjugate Dragon. Well, it's a common from GB214, and obviously I like that one option where if you call him on your grade 3 turn, you can search already for a grade 1 or less. So like, it's like a Daylad fetcher even before you stride, so the Daylad can Soul Blast and draw because it only requires a Ritual 1 and the Ritual Vanguard. That's why, yes, the Soul Blast to grade 1 is really good since that's another card for Ritual for the continuous stride skill of Dragfall and the beginning of right phase of Dragheart, and yes, and can also go off with Cursed Eye Raven skill and one of my grade 1s that may fetch this from deck. And now going for our grade 2s, we are running 1 Darkness Maiden Maka and 2 Blaster Darks. So these are our main rides. It's really good if you get them early because they're 10k base, and so Maka is kind of a defensive ride because it can just counter blast and you draw, and she gets power +5k right away. So every turn you can use her, but for the most part it's the draw that matters because you're gonna call anyway, and the +5k is really good as well. And obviously for Blaster Dark, we run him because a potential Twin Drive turn on grade 2 and getting out those crits and stands really guarantees the more aggressive plays of Morfessa later. And yes, the retire is also very good because along with Dragfall or Drag Abyss, you can like nuke some of your opponent's rear guards when you do get Blaster Dark. Next for our grade 2s, we are running 2 Drag Wizard Morfessa and 2 Slaptail Dragon. Obviously, for the reason that they are counted as a grade 1 in drop, so it makes Ritual 10 very easy, and Morfessa's skill on Morfessa turn can call out under grade 1 if it hits, so it may create another attack, and she gets power plus 5,000 when you on Ritual 3, so she's at 14k. You can reach out the force and Axel numbers, and on Morfessa turn it kinda lets the opponent think of guarding her attack right away instead of taking the first attack to check for 2 damage triggers. So I like that option for Morfessa where if the opponent guards, yes, he won't be able to get damage triggers, and when he takes, you get another free call. So it's just very good. And obviously for Slaptail, it's because it can be fetched out by Dragfall, Drag Abyss, or even Drag Heart Stride skill, as well as Drag Fencer Dagda. Yes, there's no reason not to run 2 of this, since yes, you can fetch it anyway, so and it gets to high numbers in the late game for even deadlier Morfessa swings. Deadlier swings on Morfessa turn. And of course, the strongest card in the deck, Drag Fencer Dagda. Obviously, because for a counterblast 1, you get to call 2. The retire 1 doesn't even matter, or because you're gonna call over it anyway. And like the retire 1 and the call 2, calling over another column that just attack, can like add your ritual to like 3 more grade 1s. So that's why like getting this card early kind of guarantees that Ritual 10, because you're calling 2 and potentially retiring 3. That's why he is the strongest card in the main deck, along with Morfessa. Obviously can create even 6 attacks when you get to stand this and have another counterblast. That's why you run him at 3. Although even if you don't draw him, you can still get to check stands or crits, as long as we do get our Ritual 10 on Morfessa. That turn is a guaranteed almost finisher already. And just 1 stand makes it already a 4 attack turn. And next up, for the last 2 cards I'm running for the grade 2 slot, I am running 12. This is it's a Knight of Selection Fergus. We run him because it can fuel the drop zone really good, and he's also just a common from GBT10, so yes, you just find your commons from that set and find 2 of him, and as early as, and the best thing about him is he's not generation break, so in the early game you just call this, or even in the late game can be called out with Cursed Eye Raven, and just adds 3 cards to your drop zone, because his skill, you discard any grade 1 or less card, then you check top 3 and you get the card with the lowest grade. So apparently it can be a heal fetcher, but most of the time you can just fetch your other grade 0s or 1s. They're very viable to get that Ritual 10. That's why yes, running 2 of him immediately gets your drop zone to high numbers for that first stride turn. And now for our grade 1s, We obviously run 4 Famnak. Not gonna explain much on her skill, but yes, it's immediately a 4 off since she can throw herself in the drop as early as turn 1 with Vikera being rested. That's why we do not run the V starter, and she's 14k on her own. Just have to be GB2 and Ritual 5. So even on a Drag Abyss turn, if you do reach Ritual 5, and she's already hitting those high numbers even when boosting or attacking, so it's an obviously 4 off. And next we run 3 Daylads. So obviously, because back then we always go with our Drag Abyss, which uses a Soul Blast. Now if we go with Morfessa, we have like that 1 extra soul because Morfessa is a counter blast, and so we can use her skill even more. So yes, she's a Soul Blast 1, draw 1, so not much to explain why I'm running 3, because she's the main draw engine, and like even Dagna can call 2 of her in the deck and you just draw 2 right away, so the 3 can really be maximized in even on 1 turn, and drawing 3 cards is just really nice. And it also enables us to not run or even consider draw triggers. You just go all out stands and crits in Luard decks. And except for the grade 1s, you run to Abyssal Owl, because I still want that option that I could search out my Luard. And the discard is not too bad as well, because that's better than G assisting, and it's really good that we can fetch the preferred ride, because we can still pick out of the 2 either drag heart or drag fall, depending on the kinds of play that we want to make and the matchup, obviously. And the counter charge is really good as well, because at times when we use drag falls freeze stride, we do use our counter blast. That's why it's still very nice to have more counter charge options. And Vikera can also be retired. And next up, for last slot for the grade 1s, is Drag Wizard Semyas. Well, the non-grade Sentinel grade 1s. Well, obviously we run him because she can fetch out 2 cards from the top of your deck and just call it. And it doesn't specify open rearguard circle, so she's kind of a better Cursed Eye Raven, because you can call this over on other units and have more cards for ritual. So yeah, she's just an R from GBT12, so it's very affordable. So as you may notice, I'm not running the main builds along with the Charon, because I really think this kind of semi-budget version still works as well, because she's still very reliable on place, and it doesn't have to be from hand, so you can call this out with Dagda, Stride Skill, even Drag Abyss to just set up your units. So yes, with just a counter blast you get 2 right away, but for the most part you can be checking your attackers. I'll be calling your attackers ready, and it just saves you a lot of resources. And now for Sentinels, obviously drag Saber Esras. Not much to explain here. This is the default PG already for the Luard Ritual premium decks, because for just a retire, if you have 2 of this in drop zone, have 1 of her back in deck to be called out later, and you got a free PG. So obviously it's already default for all you Luard players out there. And now going on for the triggers, we obviously run 4 Cursed Eye Raven. There's also a default already. The first effect stand from the G era, because it with resting it you can call out 2 units from the top of your deck, up to as rest, and so it creates more cards to later on be retired for costs and for ritual. And obviously stand enables multi-attack on Morfessa, so 4 of this and it can return to the deck, so really sets up a lot of on-play skills as well for your other cards in the deck if ever you reveal them by the Raven skill. Get more on-place effects. And next up, we are running 3 Belial Owls, because it's also the best critical trigger for this deck, or for this scenario. It's like the freest crit trigger ever, because the draw 1 when it's retired is just really good. So it's like a draw engine as well for Luard. And that's why it's this doesn't really get separated from Luard decks. Not much to explain there, and goes back to the deck, so you always have criticals. And lastly, our V criticals. We run a total of 8, because this is a more aggro build. And we only run 3 of the premium collection crits. I don't want to make it 4-1. I think 3 is enough, because at times I'd rather have a crit in my hand rather than calling this, because even if you draw, you still lose at 15k shield. That's why it's good to see you have your guaranteed 15ks in your hand that you'd rather not call. So yes, those are our 5 V-Series critical in the deck. And now, for the heals, we do a 2-2 split. 2 of the V heal and 2 of the counter charge soul charge, because it's really good that we can still have a counter charge option. And even the soul charge as well for the G guard and soul blast, because sometimes our Vicaral gets retired and we sometimes tend to stride Drag Abyss. That's why we need that soul as well. And yes, the 5k doesn't really matter at this point, because you always want to be checking your offensive triggers on your Morfessa turn. That's why, yes, 2 V and 2 CCSE heals. And that wraps up our main deck. Now for the G zone, obviously running, well, just 2 of the Morfessa. I don't really have to go 3 Morfessas, because I don't think I'll get into the 3rd one. Most games finish already on my 2nd. But even when I have to stride 3 times, I still have my 4 Drag Abyss. Drag Abyss Luard just kind of goes off beyond 15,000 power. Even he can reach 20, yes, or even 30. So yes, we have the Drag Abyss, of course, for our GBT14 plays that we can still do. And of course, the 2 Phantom Blaster Jablo for that guard restrict, and potential 2 crits that you can get, and Drag Strider. And sometimes you know that your opponent is running grade 1 PGs, and Carnivore, you just wanna nuke some rear guards. And for the G guards, running a whole lot of them. 1 of each G guard, 1 Plotmaker, 1 Ludwig, 1 on flip, 1 G guard flipper that lets you intercept 2 G1s on field to draw 1 more card. And of course, Dark Veil, the biggest G guard, and like the Quintet G guard as well, Bronak. So we run 1 of each, but I am consider running 2 of this. I traded out 1 copy, but that's fine. It's just an R. And also tech in this mixed element Colburn Cray Elemental. It's like a gigantic G guard when your opponent has a lot of hand cards. So there's this. That's to wrap up our deck profile for Luard. But another thing that I'm considering is that depending on the meta I'm facing, I may cut out the 2 countercharge soul charge heals to add more stands, because I may consider the more offensive stand build. So just another option depending on the meta I'm facing. I can just replace the 2 V heals. Replace the old heals by just 2 more V heals for the more consistent 10k on heals and 20k shield, and we can add 2 more stands, which is the crafting from GPT-09. So yes, because to be like, I can make this deck into a more steady early game but more aggressive late game with the 6 stands. But for now, I like it. I like running 8 crits first more, and G heals. So that's it. Hope you enjoy.